In this exercise, we'll look at several relief type effects: carved or etched, cutouts, and embossed effects. The first effect we'll look at is the carved look. Just about the best carved or etched type effect that I've seen is produced by a third-party filter called Eye Candy by Alien Skin Software. Before we use it, you have to set up the artwork in the image. I've gone ahead and set up an alpha channel to look like this. I've set the display type and objects in white against a black background. I want the white areas then to appear to be carved into the surface of the bark. First, I'll duplicate the background and load the alpha channel. Then I'll inverse the selection. Then choose Filter, Eye Candy, Carve. In the Filter dialog, choose Chisel as the main style. And then proceed to customize the various settings. Click on the check mark to apply the filter and deselect. Now you can experiment with the various blending modes. That's why we maintained two separate layers. I find that luminosity is a nice subtle variation on the normal blending mode. To reproduce this carved effect in Photoshop exclusively, you would need to undergo a lot of hardship in setting up various layers, adjustment layers, etc. So I really appreciate this filter for the convenience and the quality. Next, we'll take a look at two techniques showing a quick die cut and die emboss effect. These are both popular relief effects on stationery. In the Channels palette, I've created a channel with some white type against a black background. And back to layers. I'll create a new layer set to the overlay mode. I'll fill it with a neutral color so I can run a filter on it, namely the Lighting Effects filter. Choose Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. In here, in the Texture Channel area at the bottom, choose Alpha 1, or the channel with the type. Adjust the relief effect in terms of height. And also set the white to be high if you like the effect. Set the light type to be directional and set it up so. Set the directional line to be horizontal and barely extending beyond the frame until the gray areas appear to be a mid-gray. This arrangement provides the least change in lighting. You're here primarily to use the texture channel feature and not to play with the lighting per se. And here we have a die embossed effect. To produce a die cut effect with type, we'll switch back to the channels palette and duplicate the alpha channel with the type. Now that we have a duplicate channel, alpha 2, we'll blur the outlines a little. Choose Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Make sure that there's no active selection in place before you do this, and enter a low value. Next, offset the contents of the channel. Using the arrow keys on the keyboard, I'll move it 3 positions to the right and 3 down. And back to the Layers palette. Create a new layer first. Then load the contents of alpha 1. Fill the selection with your shadow color. You can either fill it with black or even use an adjustment layer to darken the area very slightly. Then Command or Control-click on the thumbnail of the adjustment layer to load its outline. Then target the layer below. Next, we need to intersect this selection with the blurry offset copy we created. To do this, choose Select, Load Selection, and choose Alpha 2 under Channel. Alpha 2, if you recall, was the blurry offset copy of Alpha 1. Then choose Intersect with Selection and click OK. Now set the foreground color to white and fill the selection. And here we have the cutout type effect. To adjust the relief, open up the Levels adjustment and change the shadows and midtones.